Greetings, dear viewers. Welcome to Diaspora Point. This is your host, Auma Bella. Today we have an outstanding guest, an amazing, outstanding, great guest who will enlighten us about what is going on in the United States. I would speak for many of us that what is going on in the United States has kept our heads spinning. Panahide, kindly introduce yourself to our viewers and what you do now.
Uh, my name is Ikide Ikalova. I am happily retired, and I spend most of my days with my dog and my wife staring at America through the windows of our house. Um, Before then, I was, for 31 years, I was an official with Montgomery County Public Schools, chief of staff to the school board of the 14th largest school system in the United States. And then after retirement, I was conned into being chief of staff to the president of the Montgomery County Council, which was also a big assignment. To put it in perspective, the annual budget of the public school system is $3 billion, which is exactly half of the annual operating budget of the county, $7 billion. And I did that for like 5 years, being chief of staff to the president. Then when she became a council member, and then one day last year in April, I decided, I've had enough of this, and I retired, and I can't be happier. So I'm happy to be here, willing to exchange some ideas about what is going on in this great country, great but troubled country, America.
Panahide, you forgot something, but I'll say it because you don't want to toot your own horn. Panahide has one of the largest following in social media. He's a commentator, he's a political analyst. He runs a social media platform that is very, very well followed. So, Panahide, the last less than even like 40 days or 45 days since Trump came into office,
Yes.
our heads have been spinning. We are trying to say, ho, and before you say ho, finish another, what was that? Tell us, what is going on? What is the general mood in the United States? What are the people feeling, especially those who voted for him?
Well, America is generally upset with what's happening in the White House because even those who voted for Mr. Trump are saying this is not what they voted for. He is going after everything and everyone. Nothing is sacrosanct. Him and his friend Elon Musk, who we call the real president of the country, are just going about destroying institutions and generally making people miserable. You saw what happened in the White House a couple of days ago with President Zelensky.
Honestly.
Of Ukraine. Yeah, that was just disgraceful.
Gosh.
To put all of that out publicly, it just the White House is circus to do. But we have to, as upset as people are, we have to stage all of the thinking in terms of what does this really mean globally? What does this really mean for America? And what does this mean in terms of how we see traditional government? No matter what happens to Mr. Trump and Mr. Musk, we will never go back to the way things are.
No.
And people are not focusing on that, but they're just really more focused on what they are losing. And we are losing a lot. Don't get me wrong. I mean, this man Musk has said that he's going to go after Social Security, and he will not rest until Social Security is dismantled as we know it. Now, millions of elders voted for Mr. Trump because they thought it was going to make life easier for them. So it's very interesting. To put it in perspective, during the COVID, in 2020, when COVID hit, overnight we went from going into the offices to moving all of our work to the ether. For almost 2 years, we didn't go to work. I had no idea there was anything called Zoom until COVID hit. So uh, there's been like a generational disconnect between how young people live their lives and how we live our lives. If not for trauma, governments would not have been forced to go to that side of technology. It's the same thing that is happening now. Trauma is going to force us to look at how we live our lives.
Yes.
And that is probably what people are not talking about. They're not talking about how Elon Musk is going to force us to say, you know what, we don't need 1,000 people anymore. We need maybe 20 people.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And that's scary when you think about it. Yeah, unfortunately, that's really scary. So we um, in, in in America, we are talking about how schools of the future will look like, how offices of the future will look like, because we no longer need buildings the way we needed them before.
Yeah.
So that conversation needed to be had anyway, but I didn't really think it would be had in such a chaotic way, in such a traumatic way, where you could just say to the Department of Education, we don't need you anymore.
Oh my gosh.
You would just say to USAID, we don't need you anymore. Go. And of course, all of this is encouraged by the ignorance of the populace.
Yes.
People don't understand this thing. They don't understand what USAID means. Why are they there? Why are we giving these people billions of dollars? And so none of that. And then, of course, there's the third piece that we haven't talked about. How irrelevant Africa has become outside of South Africa. How irrelevant Africa has become in all of these calculations.
Yeah.
And the poor thinking that is coming out of our rulers and our thinkers from Africa in terms of this. They are immersed in conspiracy theories. They are immersed in what is it for me? And so they're not really thinking about the global dimensions, the global implications for African countries. The G20 event the other day, as all of Africa as one AU. America didn't do it.
No. America shunned it.
Yes, the problem is this. Trump is a madman. Trump is a lunatic. But when he leaves, reasonable people will go, he was crazy like a fox. Why are we doing this? America will never be the same again.
No.
The world will never be the same again.
No.
But we're not having that conversation. We're just yelling at him. So it's going to be interesting.
It's very, very interesting. In fact, this is a seismic proportion of the change that is coming up now everywhere in the world, because, without USAID, of course, other countries are trying to find out how they can do things differently, which to me, for African countries, I think is a good thing. Now, would our African countries see it that way? That is the crux of the matter. They need to see it that way. They need to make the changes necessary. They need to also critically look at the fact that it has never been a one-sided thing that we get USAID aid from US, from Canada, from who. How much aid does Africa give to the West? A whole lot more. It's just not called aid. So I think this is something that is going to shake the world. It's already shaking the world. And I think if Africans can look at it positively, it will be a great change. Now, when it comes... Go ahead. Yes.
Go ahead.
It's okay. Go ahead.
So the whole issue of aid to Africa is very interesting. Part of the reason why there's not been much of a pushback from, say, Nigerian citizens on the streets about aid is that when you go to Nigeria, it's very hard to find evidence of the aid on the streets.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So
even here,
it just appears, it just appears to be a way of propping up a portion of the middle class.
Yes.
With funds from the West, and
they
it's not
siphon off
by the
that
time
money.
if you look at it's they talk about pie charts, they talk about capacity building, they talk about all sorts of stuff that come across as BS, but you don't really see it on the streets. So Nigerians are not going to go on the streets, protesting against the suspension of aid to their country because they don't see it.
Yeah.
But there are people who work in these organizations who are living large. They travel all over the world. Their children go to schools abroad, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But you don't see, and this is the paradox of it. Why we should be concerned. When you look at the sum total of, say, USAID budget, it's approximately 0% of the United States budget, right?
Yes.
So it's not a whole lot of money to the United States.
No.
So there's no incentive for them. There's no incentive for them to do any oversight over how the money is being used. It's pennies to them.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of money it's a lot of money to the people that get to use it to execute projects in Africa. So they're just getting away with murder. There's not a whole lot of analysis about what is the impact of this on the. And by the way, it's the same thing with non-profits in America.
Yes.
During the COVID, I was part of the team that processed hundreds of millions of dollars at the local level, about $400 million to non-profits.
Yes.
I can tell you that there's been very little oversight, very little auditing of those funds. $400 million is a lot of money.
And
what
then
did we do with it?
those who had these organizations, to your point, they get away with murder because they just use that money anyhow.
Yes.
It doesn't trickle down to the people. It may not even make any impact to the people who need it. Yeah.
So it was not the reason USAID got in trouble was somehow it looked like during they were used by some other they were used to investigate either Trump or Musk, and so they were just targeted. It's retaliation, total retaliation. These two guys are evil. It was total retaliation, but it has caused us, or it should cause us to reflect on what do these people really do for us.
Yeah.
In Africa.
Yeah.
If they didn't come, would it make any difference?
Yeah. That's a good question to ask. That's a really good question to ask. Yes.
Yeah.
There are certain areas where it would have been helpful to get some headroom in order to get ready some medication for the HIV/AIDS, for example. And this is something that is ridiculous that African countries have not gone ahead and manufactured HIV/AIDS medications all these years that we have been living with HIV/AIDS, and we have just been depending on aid. But this is a wake-up call. I think we should go ahead and African countries should go ahead and speed up the process.
It's a wake-up call, and in fact, you are absolutely right. President George Bush was the one that basically used funding through faith-based organizations to save the lives of poor Africans during the whole AIDS
pandemic.
During the whole AIDS crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pandemic. It was called the Lazarus effect. President Bush, as you know, was a Republican.
Yes.
So all of this didn't start yesterday. It's been around. What is the role of powerful nations, powerful individuals, in helping those who are caught in wars that they did not ask for?
Yes.
But our intellectuals and our rulers, our African intellectuals and our African rulers, have been just as bad, if not worse, than the colonialists.
They're
in being
selfish.
transactional, selfish in extracting resources and moving the resources to the West for the enjoyment of themselves and their families. So, and they've said all sorts of stuff. I mean, it's very difficult to wade through this stuff because some of it is just silly. Conspiracy theories. USAID is being used to sponsor terrorism in Africa. Listen, America does not need to go through USAID to sponsor terrorism in Africa. People, look, if you go to Nigeria today with $5,000 mint dollars, and give it to somebody and say, here's $5,000, go to that market and blow it up. After 9 people say no, there will be somebody, not even 9, after 5, the 6th person
maybe
will
3
gladly
or
do it.
2. So, I'm telling you, the way people are hungry for money, even here in Kenya.
Yes. Money is everything. I mean, these people, so they're saying they're coming up with all kinds of complex theories about the linking of these aid organizations to terrorism. And I'm saying, no, they don't need all of that stuff.
No.
First of all, your rulers and your intellectuals are already in the deep pockets of the West.
That's
Think
true.
about it.
That's true.
The first African literary conference was at Makerere University. It was sponsored by the CIA.
Gosh.
In 1962, it was sponsored by the CIA. Now, to be fair to the writers, they did not know at the time that it was the CIA that was sponsoring it. Today, I'm telling you, there are writers who are more than willing to apply to the CIA for grant funding to sell their books. We have no
shamelessly too.
Completely amoral continent.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
yeah. So now, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So,
I'm good.
The Elon Musk thing, is this legal? This position, which is dismantling everything, which wants its hands into social security, it wants its hands on just about on USAID, on just about everything. Is this legal? Because America has institutions, America has laws, policies, and Congress has to pass certain things. Yeah. What is this?
Yeah. Well, even those that are most angry at what is going on are concerned because the legality, from my perspective, it's illegal.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter. It's murky. They are throwing everything on the kitchen sink at us. So, and then this is the problem that we have. The courts are on the side. The Supreme Court is on the side of Donald Trump.
Yeah, he constituted it.
They will simply, they will simply say, look, but he has every right to run the country the way he deems fit. So, in a sense, Elon Musk is now an employee of the United States government
by executive order.
You can't. Yes, Trump has no use for Congress. He's just, he's an African dictator. Just going. I hereby order. Now we are going to have a $250 bill with his face on it. Can you imagine that?
Gosh.
There's a proposal in Congress. I mean, this man he wants to be a despot, and he's also saying, "Look, I'm so good. Give me a third term."
He's crazy.
So we are really,
and he will fight
we
for
are really
it.
in uncharted territory. we are in uncharted territory. So to your question, I don't think it is legal what's going on, but he will dare you to go to the Supreme Court. And this is the other problem. Once the Supreme Court makes a determination and it becomes precedent, you are in trouble.
Oh.
So you have to be careful what you take to the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Because whatever they say is final.
Yes, that's true.
So you really don't want to test a lot of these things he's done.
Yes.
Because you know what's going to happen.
That's true. Wow. So now,
We have a problem.
so now the deportation of immigrants. I understand some 5, 6, 7 countries were approached to take in immigrants, and Bahamas does not want to do it. What happens to the immigrants who have not been taken, who have not been accepted anywhere? And then what happens to the countries that have refused to take them? I mean, what
Well,
does Trump think he wants to do?
when they talk about deportations, I laugh a lot because logistically, it would be literally impossible for Donald Trump to match the work of your townsman Barack Hussein Obama. We called him the deporter in chief. I don't know if you know this.
Yes, I know. You
Obama
told me a few
deported
times.
yeah. Obama deported 3 point something million people, and when they asked, he said, "Oh, they're mostly criminals." That's a lot of criminals.
Gosh.
So Trump is a showman, and he is speaking to his base. And as far as he is concerned, he has told his base, "These are horrible people. These brown, black people. They're horrible people. I'm going to send them back." It is not possible to do what he wants to do in the next 4 years. They are now talking about outsourcing this, with billions of dollars. When there will be airplanes, there will be trucks, there will be ships carrying people. You don't even know the people. What are you going to do? You see me on the street and say, "Hey, get on that ship." You don't know the people. There are millions of undocumented citizens in this country that you can't. I mean, it's overwhelming. So, my point is, Trump knows he's not going to be able to do any of this stuff but they are picking up people and being very public about it because it's good PR for them.
Yes.
You see, it's it's racism. It's racism. It's total racism. They are going after. There's always been movement of people in this country. The only reason Americans are upset is the color of the movement. It is brown, it is black.
Yes.
They don't want to see that. So, you know that traditional Republicans in the past have come up with initiatives to legalize undocumented residents in this country. That's been successful in the past, but he doesn't really care about any of that stuff. He just wants. It's all about him. We are not going to solve. We're not going to solve the immigration challenge by executive order. We're not going to solve it by picking up a few people and sending them loudly to Rwanda or to some other. No, we are going to have to sit down and say, what Mexico, all of these countries. How can we make your countries safe, warm spaces for your residents, so that they don't come as much as possible, as much as they do over here? And those of you that are here, you are largely productive. What can we do to make you even more productive and make you happy here? Those are thoughtful questions that that nobody, but they are driven by ultra nationalism. They are driven by racism, and it's just going to be confusing, unproductive 4 years. I don't even think that the Trump that I see can survive 4 years of this nonsense.
It's crazy, and that's why he has this his fellow crazy guy doing all that madness. He's younger, he's more agile. But it seems like, I'm not a psychologist, but from the stories I hear, things like he would make calculations to manufacture a car. I'm talking about Elon Musk, and then the calculation is wrong, but he goes on with it anyway. If that is true, that means his cars are dangerous. And if that is true, then it means he makes wrong calculations for those SpaceX aircrafts which keep crashing all the time. What do people say about that?
Well, Elon Musk, obviously, there's something off about him. He's probably on the spectrum, an autism spectrum or something. There's something off about him. I'm going to say something that will surprise you. I admire that side of him, the innovation piece. I admire that side of pioneers, of people who have said, I want to go to the moon and come back. People that are not risk averse.
Yes.
Growing up in Nigeria, they beat up all the risk out of me. I was raised to be risk averse.
Yes.
You are not going to change the world by being beaten up every day. No, don't climb that tree. What's wrong with you? But a culture that says, climb that tree, and if you break your head, we'll go to the ER. That's the culture we should be looking at.
Yes.
Supervised risk making. I have read a lot about how he runs his systems, about how he interacts with his staff. Surprisingly enough, the Tesla is considered one of the safest cars out there, relatively. But there are issues with it, of course. The battery is lithium, and so there have been issues with explosions, issues with fire outbreaks, which is concerning. Obviously, I'm not going to buy a Tesla because I'm risk averse.
And it's too expensive.
There's also they're expensive too. And there's also the issue of sudden acceleration. On its maybe that's where his wrong calculations come in.
Could be.
But these folks are doing things that would never have occurred to me. We came to this country in the early 80s, late 70s. Just think about the country that we came to and where we are today.
Imagine.
It's amazing.
Miles apart, eons apart.
Yes, Wi-Fi, wireless connectivity. Look at you and I. Do you remember how many weeks it would take to get a phone call to Kenya or to the village in the 80s?
And even if they wrote a letter, it arrives a month later.
Yes, and it was very expensive. Now, look, you and I are talking. This is free. You understand? So it's amazing. That part, I don't, but politics has come into it now. Now people are just, oh yeah, he's a terrible person, and they pray that that everything that he stands for collapses. But people are very angry with it. Yeah. And so I don't think we should throw out the baby with the bathwater. He's an asshole. He's an evil man. Yeah. No doubt. But that the innovation part, I hope we continue to somehow find a way to protect, because we need more innovation. I mean, you look at Nigeria, for instance, what the cell phone technology did in terms of communication. It's their infrastructure. Yeah. Their infrastructure. Yeah. Yeah. So one day we'll wake up and we'll find that we don't need governments as we know them. Yeah. Because of technology. That's part of the battle that we are having today. We don't need government as we know it, because we have technology to do a lot of the things that people used to do. Absolutely. The interesting thing is that news is coming out of Burkina Faso that they have invented a car, much like Tesla, but which is purely 100% invented within Burkina Faso, and it uses battery, but it's roadworthy better than Tesla would if it was brought to Africa. Yeah. It's made appropriate for the rugged roads for Africa. Now, if you look down south at Zimbabwe, a young man, a 44-year-old there, has invented a car which uses microsonic. That is not petrol, it's not fuel, it's not battery. It's the element of the earth that it's microsonic. It's a sound system, sort of.
and it drives this car. And if
Yes.
I hope that the Western world will let you see the light of day. But if the Western world is, trying to dismantle it or do anything, we Africans should protect it and patronize it and use it and see how it goes, because that is a huge revolution. Now, and of course, you saw that in Nigeria, Dangote has built this Dangote refinery, which is probably one of the largest in the world, the biggest in the world. So Africa is not sitting on its hands, and Africa just needs to know how to defend itself better. What do you think?
Well, I amen to all of that. We need more, even more of that. Unfortunately, most Black Africans are in churches listening to pastors, who basically make money from telling the congregants not to think beyond a certain space.
Yeah.
So there is my theory is that these modern day churches are reducing the overall IQ of Africans several notches, because they basically tell them, be risk averse, do not think beyond a certain thing, read the Bible, don't read anything else. Everything else is bad for you because it's
unfortunate.
Stay away from the LGBTQ plus community, and then it's a breeding ground for silly conspiracy theories. You can't in Nigeria. You can't convince the average Nigerian that Bill Gates is nothing but the devil.
Yeah,
I don't know what they are preaching in the churches, that Bill Gates is the devil incarnate. So it's but our people are not. They are not involved in substantive thinking, substantive work.
No, they're not.
They are involved in and so we need some kind of cultural revolution.
Yes,
to stop all of that.
We do.
And that's not happening right now. People just wake up and they start praying to an indifferent God for money that they did not work for.
And I tell you, they don't understand that prosperity gospel is only prosperous to those pastors who get their money from their pockets. That's what they should understand. Yes. So your parting shots.
There is going to my parting shot.
Yes.
Well, all I can say is whatever is happening in America, as we say in Nigeria, Africa deserves it.
Yes.
I hope this is a wake-up call, like you said,
yes,
for us to get up and say, in all of this, we are basically irrelevant. How do we make ourselves relevant, and how do we make ourselves self-sufficient and independent of all of these things? If something good happens, it affects us. If something bad happens, it affects us. It's terrible.
Absolutely, 100%. So, viewers, you got Bonahide, who is a renowned social media expert, political analyst. He worked as a very senior officer of the Montgomery County Public Schools, millions of dollars worth of school system. He has seen it all. He has assessed for us what is happening in the United States, and we need to take lessons out of it. We don't want to catch a cold because the US sneezed. If they are going to keep their USAID, the better for us. We should get up, manufacture our own medications, plant our fields, get our foods. And that's what we are going to do. In the meantime, please subscribe to our podcast. Please like our channel and share widely. Thank you so much, Bonahide. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.